Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Virgo, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of December. I hope you're well. I can scarcely believe that we're on to December already, but here we are. Longest and shortest year of my life simultaneously. I'm sure it's the same for a lot of you. So we're using the triple goddess for you today, interestingly, but we'll go with it, see what it has to say. I have 3 cards for Virgo, please. 3 cards for December. Ooh, 3 cards for Virgo. There we are. First card is the 4 of Wands. And second card, flew out. 10 of Swords. And one more card, please. I go on my boot. Got the Page of Cups. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the Hierophant. Now that deals with structure, it deals with society, it deals with hierarchy. It can sometimes deal with institutions that you find yourself in. Those can be social institutions like marriage. Sometimes it can indicate the end of a social institution. But it can just indicate your environment sometimes. And I think this is kind of a thing that's overlooked. Particularly, we found this woman here. She's in a wood. It can be your spiritual environment. And Virgo, yours, it's looking a little bit like it's wanting at the moment. I'm going to pull some clarifiers and we'll get into this a little bit more. Let's see, I have a feeling. Yeah, I did have a feeling. We're going to use the marigold for this one. Let's see what it has to say. I have to say, I'm already liking what's on the table, even if it looks a little bit difficult now. I like the way that it's moving. So, could I please have some clarifiers for 4 of Wands? Ooh. Knight of Cups, 4 of Wands, and the Tower. 10 of Swords. Why is that here for Virgo, please? Oh, we have Judgment, and we have the Moon. Major Arcana coming down here now. And the Page of Cups, please. Why is that here? We've got the King of Wands. Oh, I like this a lot. Look at that page. Oh, and Strength. Right. At the bottom of this deck, we've got the Queen of Wands, followed by the Hermit. There you are. And the 10 of Cups. Let's get into this. So, I was musing just before I pressed play. I sort this cushion out. That I couldn't remember what the topic of your reading was. And I was admonishing myself for the fact that I probably should have gone and had a look at it before I started this video. It's broadly a thought process I have every time I make a video. As soon as these cards started coming out, I remembered what the topic of the conversation was, and it feels like we have a representation of it here, because we've got that 4 of Wands. In fact, before we go any further, it's interesting that we should see that all the main cards are minor arcana. That's your kind of day-to-day stuff. It's how, you're going about things, how other people are perceiving what it is that you're doing, that sort of thing. It's kind of like the day-to-day. And here we have the 4 of Wands. Now, it can be a card of celebration, but it feels like, well, it reminded me immediately of this being a situation of not being able to fake it until you make it, right? This is not one of those situations here for you, but yet still you have tried. It's like, maybe for some of you, you're in the States and is Thanksgiving not around about now? I feel like it kind of is. For the rest of us, it's all about Christmas coming up, and it's like you're doing what people expect you to do. I don't even know if you decorate houses for Thanksgiving, not like we do for Christmas over here. But there's a sort of paying lip service feeling to this, to celebrations that are happening around and about at the moment. But actually, what is going on inside is the Knight of Cups, right? And this is not an easy Knight of Cups, because look at that, right? That's a really difficult energy. That's your heart trying to be out in the world. It's trying to it's trying to match this, but it's not really happening. Not really. The Knight of Cups is supposed to be a really, really positive card. Well, sometimes it is, to be honest. I think it's sometimes a bit of a triumph of style over substance, particularly when it's, you know, some, you know, glamorously clad young, beautiful chap in, you know, chromed out in armour and stuff like that, with this beautiful cup and beautiful, like, Fabio hair kind of thing. It just kind of makes me roll my eyes a little bit. But essentially the message is about how you go out into the world with your cup of love. And yours is full of tears, Virgo. It's a very, very difficult energy. Let me pick another deck. I'll go with... yeah, I thought it was here, right. Because your heart's not in it. You know? It's doing everything on autopilot. Because it's what's expected of you, without necessarily the inner world matching up with it. Tell me about the Knight of Cups, please. Thank you. Ten of Pentacles. And Devil card. Ooh. Knight of Cups. Ace of Pentacles. Yeah. Almost at this point, it feels like that the tension is not about the fact that you can't bring your heart to the celebrations that you're kind of running on autopilot at the moment. But more like you're trying and it's still not happening. You know, it's like you're putting lots and lots of effort into this, but for whatever reason, it's not turning out the way that you want it to. But underneath the Ten of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles rather, we have the Ten of Pentacles, the Devil, and we have the Ace of Pentacles. Very, very pentacle heavy there. But the Ten of Pentacles is an end, and the Ace of Pentacles is a beginning, right? The whole tarot is all about cycles when you look at it, right? The whole major arcana is a cycle, and the ace to the 10 is a cycle. When you hit the 10, you go back to the ace, hopefully, you know, in an elevated position from that which you left behind. But look what is sitting between here, the 10 of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles, this new start that you want and the ending that you've been dealing with. We've got the Devil. That's all about really difficult energies. It's about fear. It's about being chained to something. It's about being trapped to something. It's about being afraid of allowing in some ways a new start to occur. We've got the Tower here, but it was in reverse. Now, I pull another card for that before I finish that. The Tower in reverse, please. Got the Chariot in reverse as well. So the Tower energy comes along and it's sudden and it's shocking, and what it does is it takes things out of your life that are not supposed to be there, right, any longer. For whatever reason, it's time for those to exit, and it's time for a big upheaval, it's time for a big change. And the Tower does that for you. Now, when it's in reverse, it can sometimes talk about, you know, preventing that Tower from happening, or sometimes it can speak to the aftermath of the Tower. And for you, I feel like it's the aftermath of the Tower, because this year, at the beginning of the year, for most of you, you had that big Tower moment, right? Things just went wrong. It was like the world pulled the rug out from under your feet, and the whole year has been about trying to find your feet again after it. It's clarified by the Chariot in reverse. And there's that lack of will to move. Really, it's what it says to me. This is an echo of what happened at the beginning of the year, that, you know, nearly a year later you find yourself in the same position. Not in the same position, you find yourself dealing with this still. You know, it's almost to some degree it feels like you don't feel like you've moved on at all, and that bothers you as well. This is something that you're really, really struggling with. But it's almost like the will has gone, because you tried so very hard, and yet this spectre of this shadow is still kind of tainting every single thought that you have and making everything difficult. The will is gone. You know, there may have been movement. There may have actually been physical movement this year. You may have moved house. You may have got a job. You may have signed up for counselling, but it doesn't feel like any of it is really hitting the core of what is stopping you from moving emotionally. Because the spectre of this is still hanging over the top. More than that, this new start that you're really, really craving, the one that you're trying to build for yourself, and, you know, certainly to all intents and purposes to the outside world, looking like you're making attempts to do. We've got this friction in the middle. We've got this tension. We've got this devil energy. We've got fear of moving on, fear of moving away from this, and we've got just maybe a fear of embracing it altogether. Get some more cards for this. It's fucking traffic. Let's button down a bit. Let's get that closed. Right. Stack, please. Now I'm going to go with the John Bowers. So let's get some clarification on this devil energy. Tell me about this devil, please. Yeah, Queen of Pentacles. Still not looking after yourself, Virgo. Tell me about the devil, please. Death. Judgment. Where the fuck did that go? Oh, there it is. Four of Wands in reverse. Four of Wands is the main card at the top in the upright, as everybody else sees you. Four of Wands in your heart as to what's going on here. We've got the Queen of Cups at the bottom of the deck, and I feel like this is half of the problem, right? Whatever it is you're dealing with, whatever loss it has been, because the Virgo experience this year in 2020 has been about loss, for sure. We've also got the Queen of Swords in reverse as well. Look at all this energy down here. We've got that Queen of Pentacles, Death, Judgment, Four of Wands in reverse, Queen of Swords in reverse. All underpinning the devil energy, that seat of resistance between the end and the beginning. Yeah. Now, the Queen of Pentacles is here because, Virgo, you're not looking after yourself, right? We've talked about this already. You have to look after your physical body because you are here for a reason, right? And it's not just to suffer, right? You're a human you're having a spirit having a temporary human experience. You're not here for a long time. And where that might have motivated some of you at some point in the past, I feel like it kind of is falling on deaf ears now, because a lot of you don't see the point of why you're here. You don't see the point of what it is that you're experiencing at the moment. And that's because you're very close to it. And given the magnitude of the losses that you have suffered this year, I'm not really surprised that that's happened. But Virgo, please, for me, make sure you're eating at least once a day. Make sure that you are drinking plenty of water. Make sure that you get out for a walk, at least just, you know, every couple of days, something like that, you know. By the same token, also pat yourself on the back for the small things that you're managing to do. If you're managing to get out of bed in the morning, kudos, that is awesome. If you're not, it's okay. Tomorrow's another day. Try again then. Brushing your teeth, big deal. It is a big deal. And people who've never understood depression, or never experienced depression, will not understand how these things are sometimes major accomplishments. Having a shower, huge accomplishment. Washing your hair, massive accomplishment. It's not just so that you are fit for consumption by the wider world, right? It's not just because if you turn up and you haven't showered in a month, then people are going to think that you stink, and that's going to be awful. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you really taking care of yourself, because ultimately that's your job, right? Tell me about this Queen of Pentacles. What do you know about her? For fuck's sake. Is that what I think it is? Two of Wands in reverse. The way seems so unclear to you, Virgo. there you are. With the Five of Swords. Like, so, yeah, let's talk about this, because it was very much what I saw with the Queen of Swords in reverse as well. We've also got the High Priestess and the Eight of Cups and the Two of Pentacles and Death at the bottom of the deck here. Like, any card that's number 2 is talking about the internal space. The High Priestess is the card of Pisces, and she deals with the wisdom and knowledge that comes from knowing your inner space, right? And being able to communicate with it. She can sometimes talk about high intuition, that's possible. But this Eight of Cups is about difficult emotions. And combined with the Two of Pentacles, it's about learning to balance those difficult emotions, right? Understanding them enough so that the balance comes. And with this Death card at the bottom here, I think we're back to these feelings of loss, right? This themes of loss that have plagued Virgo this year. And for some of you, it is bereavement. For others of you, it is the loss of a relationship through divorce or separation or whatever. And it's not all about romantic relationships. Some of it's about family members and things like that. You know, there are so many difficult emotions that you have associated with this, that some of them, it makes me feel like some of them are not just about the fact that this person isn't in your life anymore. There have been bigger lessons that have been thrown up for you in some way or another, that you're being asked to look at, you're being asked to investigate, you're being asked to gain wisdom of. And for some of you, it's difficult for you to let this go because you don't understand what other things this loss has tapped into. You don't understand the other things that the loss has thrown up for you. For some of you, it's guilt, which is... How do you reconcile that? That can be a very, very difficult thing, and it doesn't matter. I can sit here and tell you that it is not your fault until I am blue in the face, but you're not going to listen to me until you feel it in here, until you crack that nugget by yourself. And you feel completely lacking in direction. Taking care of your physical body, right? Absolute priority at the moment. We've got the fucking Death card here again as well, right? It's making quite a lot of appearances in this reading for you here. I kind of almost feel like I don't want to talk, which is not very helpful, particularly here at this point in time, but that's not my energy. I kind of feel like speaking is doing my own head in at the moment, and I feel like that's Virgo energy rather than my energy. I love the sound of my own voice. I don't. I'm just trying to lighten the mood a little bit. You're being called upon to undertake a fairly hefty transformation here, Virgo, and it doesn't feel fair, and it doesn't feel right, and it feels like far too much of a fucking burden, but it is your path nonetheless. There's a judgment here needing to be made about you, by you. But the problem is that your thinking is not clear at the moment. Your thinking is very muddied, and there's a lack of a will to participate in the process, even though you have tried. It's almost, that's the problem. You have tried and you haven't really felt like you've got anywhere. And it's almost like you're stuck in a loop, ultimately, because we've got Death followed immediately by Judgment. Right? Judgment is a card of resurrection. Right? Rather than going through the transformation, you're kind of focusing on the resurrection, the will for the resurrection, rather than dealing with what is left. Virgo, I understand that. But it's very difficult. Now, we've got you here in the upright, right? You're showing up in your own reading, but you're not so much showing up for yourself at the moment. And I think it's because your thought processes have got warped a little way, like not warped, you're just stuck. You're stuck in a loop, and it's over and over again. Queen of Swords in reverse is not seeing things properly. She's not actually seeing the reality of the situation. It does seem like this loop, this judgment loop, is what is being experienced at the moment. So many fucking cards here, what the fuck. And all of this is the point of resistance between the end of what was and the beginning of something new. Right? The new is there for you. You've just got a whole heap of shit here to work through before you will accept that that new is here for you. And it's possible that you don't want it. And you know what? That's entirely reasonable. Like, I want what I had. I liked what I had. I don't want a new thing. How many of you are in that frame of mind at the moment? Because it's completely understandable, but it's not rooted in reality. And that's the problem. Right? The thinking about this is unclear. It's stuck in a loop of just wanting it back over and over again. Now, where things take an interesting turn here is in your present energy, because that was all just in your past. Because what we've got is the Ten of Swords. I can barely speak today. I don't know what's going on with me. And it's clarified by Judgment and the Moon. There. Right, 2 cards. Is it 2? No, we haven't had the Moon out yet. That's the first time we've had it. Notice how we've got that minor arcana energy and all of the major arcana energy that's underpinning it. Like, while you're going about your day-to-day stuff, or not going about your day-to-day stuff, whatever the case may be, there are actually major energies around you, encircling you at the moment. Like there are huge life lessons, enormous life lessons, waiting for you to accept them. And do you know what? Actually, fuck, this struggle might be part of that. You know, in hindsight, it's very easy to look back at things and go, right, well, that was a difficult situation. I could have got out of that easier if I had just done this, that and the other, and my brain had been a bit more disciplined, and I hadn't let myself get all upset and spend like 6 months in this state before I came out the other side. That's really, really easy. It's much, much more difficult to work out the best way to move when you are in that state right there. And sometimes the struggle, actually more often than not, it is the struggle rather than what has happened and what's coming to it. That struggle of trying to find yourself in amongst all of that, and your will to carry on, your will to move forwards, is where the learning happens. It's where the strength occurs. All of those things. So I don't want you to feel like for a second that I am lecturing you or beleaguering you about the fact that you are not moving, because collectively this is exactly where you're supposed to be. You are struggling with major themes, and if you dealt with them easily, then there wouldn't be a fucking lesson in there for you, Virgo. Right? This is something much, much more profound. Tell me about Judgment, please. Thank you. Queen of Pentacles again. Tell me about Judgment. 5 of Wands. Yeah. Tell me about Judgment, please. Thank you. Yeah. Right. Okay. Tell me about the Moon. What does Virgo need to know about the Moon? Oh. Well, shit, Virgo. Like, I'm sorry, but the cards are not pulling the fucking punches here, so I'm going to tell you exactly what I see. We've got the 2 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. That can talk about balance, achieving balance, or the need to achieve balance. And for you, it is a need to achieve balance. The card directly underneath it is the 2 of Cups. Now, that can talk about romantic relationships, but to be honest, that's such a flat interpretation. I'll just kick it out of the way altogether. It means intimacy to me. You are feeling cut adrift. You do not have that intimacy now, because you've lost it in some way, whether it's through a separation, divorce, a breakup, you know, a bereavement. Like, it is lost to you, and you are pining for that intimacy, right? But it's not coming back, and you are required to balance yourself in order to move forwards. Nobody's going to come and save you, Virgo. You've got to do it for yourself. And the stronger the intimacy, the stronger the effect of the loss, the longer the struggle will occur afterwards to try and reconcile that with yourself. That's the space that you're in at the moment. On the far side of this, however long it takes you to get through this, and you will get through this, Virgo, there's an ascension of dramatic proportions, right? There are soul lessons, soul growth, beautiful, beautiful things on the other side of this for you. So this is designed as a monumental struggle for you. Now, we've got that ending there. And for a lot of you, I feel like this is an energy that you are in right now. It is one of, I mean, sometimes it's betrayal and humiliation, but it is like just being kind of left for dead by the universe. That's kind of how it feels. Like, yeah, it feels like everything has been taken away from you. Everything that had any value has gone. Now, what is the point, right? It's actually an extension of this energy here. And the two cards that we have to clarify down here are Judgment. And I have to say, at this point, Virgo, your judgment is impaired. When it comes to you, your judgment is impaired. We've got the Queen of Pentacles, the Five of Wands, and the Nine of Pentacles. I see you trying so very hard. Kind of trying to look after yourself, trying to be independent, trying to keep on top of everything. But actually, you don't fucking want to be. Like, you're in conflict with yourself. And it's almost like the harder you try and push yourself to be this, the stronger the resistance gets. This is not a situation where you can fake it until you make it. Not at all. So what needs looking at? Where's the deadlock? How do we break the pattern? It's the moon. It's about going and looking at the things that you are not looking at the moment, right? For some of you, you are actively swerving it without even realizing that you're doing it. Some of you are actively swerving it and knowing fine well that you're doing it. But I think unanimously, you don't want to look at this because everything's too fucking hard as it is. Now, I've said a number of times, and I absolutely stand by this, that shadow work is not something to be undertaken when you are not in a state of okayness, right? Unless you know you can deal with what comes up, it's difficult. Well, no, it's just fucking difficult anyway. But if you know for a fact that you can't face what's going to come up here, then you absolutely shouldn't be probing in there. The thing is, we have these two cards to clarify, both in the reverse. The Hanged Man talks about a willing submission to things that are uncomfortable. He's deliberately hung himself upside down there so that he can achieve wisdom, enlightenment, all of those things, right? He's leaning into the discomfort because he knows that ultimately the reward will be that wisdom, that enlightenment. It can talk about waiting sometimes. I'm going to talk about this. This is about not waiting. It's also about like not leaning into something that's uncomfortable. It's kind of coming away from that as an energy. Why is the Hanged Man in reverse, please? The Magician. Okay, yeah, I see where this is going now. In reverse. Right. This is talking about your refusal to submit to that at the moment. Now, for whatever reason, and if it's because you know you can't handle with what's in there, then, you know, that's a thing. But actually what you need is in there. We've got the Magician card and we've got the Six of Pentacles. There's a theme that came across in the last reading, the need for balance, the need to get everything straight, everything in alignment. But being a six, it also talks about movement, right? It's talking about moving forwards in a balanced way. Justice in reverse. just as the right way up would be, you know, doing the right thing. It's about natural law. It's about balance. It's achieving balance. Again, it's a theme that's coming up for you over and over again. It seems like you're deliberately keeping yourself away from the thing that would keep you balanced. Justice. For fuck's sake. Tell me about justice in the reverse. The Emperor. Justice in the reverse. Oh. Ten of Wands. Yeah. We've got the Knight of Cups here. Just spun out. The Emperor and the Ten of Wands. It's taking all of your energy to keep your shit together right now. And like, shadow work isn't something that you feel particularly well set up to deal with at the moment. Right? The Emperor is all about strategy, it's all about taking charge of stuff, right? It's Aries energy. The Ten of Wands says that you're burdened enough at the moment without going within, without looking for the things. Most of you will probably know that the work is there, that it's waiting for you to do it. But most of you do not feel as yet that you are in a state to be able to do it. And honestly, Virgo, from what I'm seeing here, I'm inclined to agree. We've got this Knight of Cups. It is all about how you move, you know, navigate from your heart space, how you go out into the world, how you offer your cup. Your cup is not up for sharing at the moment. It's too depleted. You have to fill it first. And it seems to me very much like the message of this reading is about you focusing your energy on, you know, for a start, pulling it back to you, but kind of getting a handle on the material world first. And your body is part of that. If you're not sleeping, if you're not eating, if you're not drinking, if you're not taking the medication that you should be taking, if you're not exercising at all, if you're not moving around, if you're not doing any of those things, you are keeping yourself in a state of not okayness. Now, I'm not saying that it will be magically fixed as soon as you start doing those things, but you are giving yourself, you're giving your physical body the strength to be able to start to access the things that require you looking at them, right? So avoid the shadow work. Do not be trying to do the shadow work at the moment. I am absolutely not asking you to do that. I'm not advocating for that. I don't think it's a good idea at all, right? I'm a shadow worker by profession. This is exactly what I do, and I'm telling you not to do it, Virgo. Don't do it. Concentrate on your physical body now, and your bills, making sure your bills are paid, and you know, all of the kind of day-to-day considerations. You strengthen up your body, then you'll be ready to take all of this on, right? Now, what's coming towards you in December is interesting because it's the Page of Cups. It's Piscean energy for me, although it has no strict correspondence. And it talks about forgiveness to me. It talks about acceptance, and I liked that. I liked it very much when I saw it. It's got a slightly different tinge to it now. We've gone through the rest of the stuff here, but it's interesting that it was the Triple Goddess that wanted to come out, because of all of the decks that I have, it's the only one that presents the Page of Cups in a slightly peculiar way. Now, I don't know if the camera's picking that up terribly well, but there is a kind of sulfuric quality to the light in that card, right? It's kind of, the light is a little bit weird, and instead of a, you know, a fairly like whimsical looking person with a cup in the hand and a fish pointing out of it, you know, it's slightly comedic in some decks. We've got somebody who is dressed in black here, traditional colours of grieving, tiptoeing closer to a cup that has something in it, right? It's not a fish, it's an octopus. And now I understand why it is that the Triple Goddess wanted to be used, because this is important. It feels like you tiptoeing closer to that cup, right? The one that the Knight has here. and having a look in it. Now, you know it doesn't have fish in it. You know it's got tentacles, whatever's in there, and those tentacles are in every single aspect of your life. Like, they inveigle their way in. There's not one part of your life that isn't touched by this. But in the month of December, you can take steps towards it, little baby steps, peering in. You're not picking up the cup yet. You're just sort of gently trying to ascertain the contents of it. See what kind of octopus it is. See which way it's facing. Is it facing the beach? Is it facing the sea? Is it looking at you, maybe, you know? It's very delicate, gentle energy, very, very small movements. And I think what we've got is you taking care of your body a little bit better here, you know, attending to things, giving yourself a little bit of strength. And as soon as you get that little bit of extra stuff in you, it feels like you can kind of take those little steps, those tentative steps towards this and have a look at it. Now, you know, what is in this cup is everything that we've been talking about in the moon here. It is that seat of resistance between the end and the beginning that was the 10 and the Ace of Pentacles there. But you've got to take it slow. Really, really, really slow. And you've got to be respectful of yourself and your energy levels, because some of you have been overdoing it. I mean, trying really, really hard and having a good day, and you think that you can manage it, and then you do too much, and by the end of the day you just collapsed in a heap, and you're like, I cannot do this again. I cannot do this every single fucking day. You've got to be more gentle with yourself. You've got to be more compassionate with yourself, and only do that which your energy levels will permit you to do at any given point, and not a shred more. Now, the two cards that are underneath were the King of Wands and Strength. Both cards of Leo, interestingly. The King of Wands is about, well, he's the, you know, he's right at the top of the pentacle, what the fuck, the Wands hierarchy here. But he is the archetype of being entirely present, picking your battles and knowing where you're going to go, what you're going to do. It's about showing up for life, this king. Right? And you can see him as being very bold and adventurous and all that sort of thing, but ultimately what he is he's present in the here and now. He has more wisdom than the Knight of Wands, who's, you know, a bit fickle and not very committed to things. He is. But it's a gentler approach to it. It's about you being present in the day. How many of you have got up in the morning and you found every waking second that you are awake, you are dealing with the thoughts of what has happened this year? Right? Quite a lot of you, I would think. And in doing so, how much of what is going on around you are you missing? I would say almost all of it, because you're living up here in your head. Yeah. The Strength card is, well, we can see it absolutely talking to what I was just saying there about getting your own bodily strength up before you can, you know, start doing this difficult work. This is kind of achieving that, sustaining it. You know, Leo as a sign is incredibly physical. Much, well, all the fire signs are. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. What is healing for them is often physical exercise, physical workouts, whether it's the gym or, you know, dancing, or there's usually something slightly competitive in there somewhere, because they really, really thrive on that. But they experience the world through physicality. And it might not be a bad idea for you to do the same at the moment, Virgo, because you've retreated so far into your cave, into your own mind, that the world is kind of passing by you, and you're not present in all of it. This gives me hope that you're going to manage to achieve it in the month of December. Because although you've been trying, although the will has been there, the result has been a bit hit and miss. This feels like it's much more hit than miss. Now, the other thing that the Strength card talks about is soul growth. Right? The learning of lessons, They're learning how to be soft after very difficult, adverse situations. You know, it's leveling up, it's introspection, but of a healthy kind. You know, it's stepping back and seeing your own strength, inner strength, seeing how you've survived this year, and whilst not perhaps patting yourself on the back for it, going, okay, you know, I think the fire signs all have a will to live that is very, very strong, right? But it's a will to be moving, it's a will to be free, it's a will to be present. It's coming in for you, Virgo. Let's get some clarifiers for that. Tell me about the King of Wands and Strength. We've got the Page of Pentacles, we have the King of Swords, and the, oh fuck my life, that's amazing, and the Ace of Pentacles. At the bottom of the deck we've got the Seven of Pentacles, and we've got the Sun. I think December's going to see a fairly important turnaround for you, Virgo. I think that there's something is lifting for you, something is being discovered, and I don't know whether this is some sort of strength that you are pulling from your boots, like you don't know where it's coming from, but you're pulling it in and you're doing a thing, or whether it's just something around you changes. I don't know. Maybe it's because you're taking care of yourself. Maybe it's because your physical body is having that bit of care taken over it. That's all that you need. But we've got that Page of Pentacles that talks about a new start in the material, right? Not only that, knowing the value of it, seeing the value of it, feeling the value of it, and knowing that it's right to start. We've got the King of Swords, where your thinking was muddy, where you didn't understand which route to take, where you actually didn't understand a lot of the content of your own head. You get the clarity, you get the insight, and then we have the Ace of Pentacles. We have that new start. We have, in fact, a very gentle, very tentative progression towards acceptance of the new start, right? What I said at the beginning about it being interesting that it was only minor arcana, the day-to-day stuff that was showing up in the main cards, and then there was a metric fuck ton of major arcana cards underneath, right? The struggle is important. The struggle is what you're learning. Don't underestimate the importance of what's going on here. And when you think you're failing, you know, when you think that you're not doing anything right and all that sort of thing, like, this is exactly a process that you're supposed to go through. It's making you stronger, whether you realize it or not, whether you feel it or not. And you will come through. You will get to the other side. Like I said, this is forgiveness and compassion to me, but it is also acceptance, and that is that very slow movement towards it. And I think that is, if not cause for celebration, I kind of feel like celebrating on your behalf. It's a breakthrough, Virgo. At exactly the right time. Exactly when it was supposed to happen. So I'm going to leave it there because I've been rattling on for like 43 minutes and I've still got to go and do an extended now. So if you're interested in the extended, there's a link down in the description box. Feel free to come over and join me at Vimeo. Or sign up for Patreon, and then you get to access all of this stuff for free. Links for both of those are down there. But if not, best of luck, Virgo. Know that I love you very, very much, and I am proud of what you're doing, because I see you, and I understand, and I'll see you soon.